Hello, 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 and I welcome you back onto this mindfulness course with me. Today, our topic will be all about stress. Whether you like it or not, we're going to talk all about stress today. Yeah, here's this term or terminology that we call stress. We hear quite a lot about stress these days, and some people understand it, some don't. So I just thought it would be really useful for us to get that clear understanding of what actually stress is and why it's important to know all about stress. So stress can be defined as the degree to which you feel overwhelmed or unable to cope as a result of pressures that are unmanageable. And at the most basic level, stress is our body's response to pressures from a situation or life event. And stress is really a very personal thing to each person, each individual, because how we respond to stress is totally different dependent upon our education, our conditioning, the way we were raised, the society we came from, and also what plays a great amount of stress management is traumatization. You don't need to know quite a lot about it, but traumas, especially early childhood traumas, actually can make us more or less susceptible to stress. So now let's talk about the signs of stress. So signs of stress, some of them may recognize those, some of them may not, but there's not all an extensive list, but definitely something to consider. So how to recognize that you might feel under stress is, first and foremost, if you feel you're becoming easily agitated or overwhelmed or tearful. Sometimes people will say, oh, this person is just overreacting. That could be a sign that they are under a lot of stress. Another huge sign is self-medicating with drugs, alcohol, or heavy smoking. We don't realize, but one of the types of self-medication could also be overeating, anything to comfort yourself in one way or another, because it is sort of unmanageable. And then another sign is when we get really frustrated, and especially when we have really, really low energy, just feel deflated like a balloon. That could also be a sign of stress or being under a lot of stress. Another one is headaches, aches, pains, nausea, indigestion. So headaches such as migraines are quite a frequent sign of stress, toxic stress, aches and pains, including fibromyalgia. There is also toxic stress, and any psychosomatic conditions will definitely be related to stress. Indigestion, including IBS, if you've heard of irritable bowel syndrome, and any other conditions, internal conditions. Then another one is insomnia or disturbed sleep and palpitations. And most of the time, insomnia actually leads to stress as well. So it's like it's a catch-22, and then toxic stress leads to anxiety, and constant anxiety leads to depression. So it's a catch-22 that we need to, if you manage to catch it early enough with stress, you're okay. It's the first sign to look after your mental health. Another one is frequent colds and infections, which is also a sign of low immune system. Well, guess what? Stress hormones actually do deplete our immune system. And especially at this time, there's never been a better time to look after yourself and your stress levels. Worrying, racing thoughts, irrational decisions. When we're under a lot of stress, we have stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline in our blood. We are unable to actually think clearly and make rational decisions, which then leads us to anxiety and fear which then leads us to being withdrawn and indecisive. You know, when people say, oh, I can't quite decide which way to go because they're under a lot of stress and they feel overwhelmed.